All right, so this is your boy Mocha after the future, or into the future, and one little thing that I thought was easy and I didn't need to really worry about was, as you can imagine, the belt tensioning. It was completely wrong in the previous video. Let me see if I can get it into focus. All right, yeah, it was completely wrong. In the original video, I had the belts going from the front, and it needs to be the way that I'm showing it now. It needs to go from the back, and as you can see, the belts are straight. If I can get this in focus, it's a small area. If I can, yeah, so it's now straight, and I made a little diagram about what to do. So this was originally how it looked like. This is the back plate where all the stuff, with this, the back plate of the whole system, and these are the little blocks that we use to do all the belt routing thing. It was kind of coming around and in, causing this like weird shape to happen. This is the correct way. You need to get the belts to go around and from the back and in, and then you clamp down on this small area. That made belt tensioning way harder. I had to take off the tool head and then just do the belts, and that was super fun, but we got it done. We got the belts on correctly and they're moving really nice and smooth. We got the bed off, as you can see, and we are going to now take that bed and yeah, let's clean it up and take it apart. All right, so with taking the bed off, as you can see, there is a bolt just right here, super simple, and there's a nut underneath that we're gonna need to take off. So first things first, let's take off the huge bed, and we need to go around each corner or each part of the triangle and get rid of these bolts, and then we can finally go through disassembling the entire bed. And if you guys were wondering what are some of the upgrades we're going to do to the bed, you guessed it right, which is going to be adding a kinematic bed mount from Mandela Roseworks. And this thing is going to be super sick. This thing has super strong magnets, and if you go to their website and look at the rail core accessories, this is one of the accessories. So if you don't know about how kinematic beds work, as the bed gets hot and hot, there's a thing called thermal expansion, and this affects metals. It actually affects everything, but it really is prominent in metals, where the actual bed dimensions will grow. And there's a formula you can figure out, and it'll teach you how much it'll grow in every sort of dimension. So what this does is that if the bed is super constrained, the bed doesn't have any place for it to grow, so it starts to warp as it gets hotter. Well, kinematic bed mount will allow it to grow along a path or along a certain area so that the bed will move. Now for a big bed like this, I think it'll maybe grow like 0.5 millimeter in every dimension, but something like this is a very handy tool. It's more like a why not sort of situation if you can afford it. And for this, I think it'll be a really great upgrade. Okay, so for the kinematic bed mounts, these were really easy to install. I didn't really want to film its installation because this guy does such a good job at explaining all of it that I just felt that it was kind of repetitive. Some of the things to notice are just right here, and understanding the placements of all of the different types of magnets. And you want the one that has 2 bars, the one that looks like this, to go sit in the back left corner here. You'll want the one with the chamfered magnet to be in the front left corner, and then you'll want the remaining one in the center right side here. And let's look at the actual printer now. All right, so here's the printer with it actually added on. You can see it actually went on pretty easy, pretty nicely right there. Let's see if I can get another angle. Boom! Here's a nice angle. It looks really slick, really nice, and it looks like it actually fits in really nice right there. One thing that I did notice is that because I'm using a different mount compared or a different yoke compared to the one that Mandela Roseworks spec'd out. I mean, this is a Mandela Roseworks yoke, but this one is just custom for the deadlifts. You will need M3 by 8 bolts to hold in the actual magnets instead of the original M3 by 10s. Besides that, it's all good. Super, you see, super sturdy. Like if I'm trying to move it, it's not moving anywhere, and if I pick it up, you know, it comes right off like with ease. And yeah, these were really simple to install. And then we've got the actual bottom circular sphere pieces on, and yeah, it looks really, really good. Next up, let's take apart this bed. All right, so we've got the bed now here, and I wanted to put some sort of mat underneath the table just so that the bed doesn't scratch my table, and my table, if anything, doesn't scratch the bed. But you can see I got the little pins right here installed, and they are real nice and tight, so we don't have to worry about that. There is this nice insulating pad here, and I am a little sad, but I will be ripping this thing off. I don't think it's gonna be all that salvageable. You know what? I don't know. I feel like this might be a little bit salvageable, but who knows? And we've got a photo of the actual bed that's here. It looks like it's from Lulzbot, actually. Go figure. But we don't need that anymore. Oh yeah, that's what I was expecting. Yeah. Look at all that adhesive on the bottom. And again, the reason why we're changing this out is that you cannot use a DC bed when it comes to mains wiring. Mains, you know, your outlets are alternating currents, otherwise known as AC beds. And so you gotta replace it with an AC bed. All right, that is the old adhesive bed, and it looks like all the adhesive actually just like stayed on the bed. Yippee me, bro, I'm so excited. And yeah, this is gonna be pretty fun. So if you guys don't know how to deal with adhesives, this is how you deal with adhesives. Get the one with the little spray bottle that I found. It is gonna do you wonders. And on the other side, what you'll also need, you'll want these plastic razor blades. And the reason why you want plastic ones is that it will not scratch the plastic or the metal at all. I actually use these to, in conjunction with this little piece here, to scrape off parts off my bed, and it works amazing. So yeah, let's do that. Also be sure to spray only here and nowhere else, because this stuff is pretty oily. And this is gonna be my life. So we're gonna scrub all this around, and then we'll come back as soon as we're done. And yes, after an hour of scraping and cleaning, we have the bed in a place where it is clean enough to finally have a heater put on the back. One of the things I did notice is that there isn't a hole anywhere around here, which, let me think. Yeah, this is the front, right? This is the back. Yeah, there's no holes here for a tapped hole for a thermal fuse. So what I'll probably need to do is drill and tap a hole right here for a thermal fuse. And I'm also not liking that there's no type of strain relief on this bed for any of the cables. Now I could, you know, put that cable or that top thermal pad covering thing, the black stuff that we just saw, this stuff, and use, just like they did, use one end as the strain relief. But I really want to find some solid solution. It might just be as simple as drilling two more additional holes, tapping them, and then using a piece of metal as a strain relief. That might be the way, or I don't know if there's a piece of plastic that I have that can even handle the temperatures. Like, I don't think I have a plastic that can handle up to 120°C. So yeah, we'll see what we come up with. Okay, so we are back with the bed installation. Now is the fun part. We get to actually apply the bed onto here. And like I was saying, there were a few things about this bed that I wasn't truly happy with. One, there isn't a place for a thermal fuse to be placed. So we're gonna need to add a hole for a thermal fuse. The other thing that we're gonna need to add a hole for is something called an earth wire, which is going to ground the bed out so that just in case the bed does not have any way of staying on if the bed is on, or if the SSR dies. And then the other thing that we're going to need is a little strain relief. Now, this strain relief I actually found from my old Prusa MK3. I think this is how you held down the linear rod bearings, but this actually works out perfectly. So there's going to be a little space right here where we are going to put all of the cables, and then we're going to put a piece of like a nylon plug, and that nylon plug is going to hold down all of the cables. We're going to heat shrink it as well, so the heat shrink is going to provide a lot of that heating protection from the heated bed, and the nylon piece that we're going to use as a press down feature is going to hold down the cables, giving it a strain relief. But we needed some sort of metal shell, and this so happened to be around. It'd be great. But yeah, here's the bed. First things first, before we actually install all of the install the new bed, is that we're going to have to clean this thing off with IPA. Make sure it's super dry and super well cleaned off. And I labeled the back of the bed with a B right over here and an F over here, just so I know where everything is. And next up, we are going to apply the bed. So we want to take off a little bit of the bed sticker, just like this. And yeah, we're going to lay it down. We know the amounts that we need to kind of keep distance-wise. That's 20.5. And now that we've got this part laid down, pretty much, you know, simple, we could measure out the sides. A little over, but should still be good. And now you can remove the underliner. And then slowly, you know, flatten this out. You really want to make sure there are no air bubbles underneath. And you can see them. Make sure to go over all the areas carefully. And that is how you install a bed. I do have a burnishing wheel, and I'm going to lightly go over the entire thing. Which really helps kind of just evenly put everything on. And I say lightly because I really don't want to break any of the heating elements underneath, but especially the edges, you know. I don't mind going a little hard on the edges just to make sure that they fully seal. West 3D did a good job making sure these edges are not square. If it's square, it has a high chance of it coming off. All right, so we got that. So next thing that we need to do is we're gonna have to add 2 holes for this guy right here. And what we'll do is, we know that's gonna be right there. I really want the thermal fuse right here and the bed thing right here. And then all of that can kind of come into that. So, you know, this can be right here from what I'm imagining. Bed fuse, or not bed, the, ooh, we could also put it here, but I like the back here. So right here, right here. So what we'll do next is you're gonna need a punch, just like this, and a hammer. And what you do is you just line up roughly where your parts are gonna be. just like that. Tap it, and now you'll have a hole, and you'll want to try your best to align these pieces together. Make sure all of it's straight. Right there should be good. So those are the two really important holes. They look pretty straight. Let me see. Let me double check. Yep. Those are good. And then we know we're going to want another one right here. This is going to be for the bed ground. And this is going to be for the thermal fuse. In fact, let me just double check with the real thermal fuse. If I put a hole right in the middle, will you be secure and safe? The answer is a no. If you put it right in the middle, it won't be that secure. So we'll need to offset it, and it'll be something like this, where the thermal fuse gets soldered into this cable and then soldered into this cable like that. So I kind of want it to be off the side. Right there is good. Just like that. And now we have our 3 holes. So next big thing to do is to take your clamps, and don't clamp on the heating elements, but definitely clamp on the metal and clamp it all down. What you'll do is you'll take a M2 bit and I'm gonna drill some holes, and most important thing is to use some cutting fluid as well. So all you need to do is just give it a little tap. Little amount of cutting fluid, just like that. And now you can cut straight. Actually, it's a lot of cutting fluid, more than I'm comfortable with. So now we can cut straight into our plate. And you'll want to make sure that all this stuff is cleaned up as you go. Definitely don't leave metal shavings anywhere here, because you don't want to short. Boom, just like that. We've got 3 tapped holes. We did a little test, and the holes do align. So we are chilling. And now we have a hole for the thermal fuse. We have this guy, and we have this. Only thing we have left to do is just to put on the back insulating plate, which we will cover up with some other stuff. And then I'm gonna solder on the thermal fuse. I'm gonna show you guys what I made for this. And then I'm also going to, add that earth cable here. All right, guys, as you can see, I got the final part added. So all I did was put some heat shrink tubing, and then I found, like I was saying, I had these metal pieces from the Prusa. So I designed a small adapter plate here so that it could fit the little heat shrink piece and then fit into here. So I needed to print this out of CF nylon, because nylon's the only thing that could handle the heat, and also that's the reason why I use the shrink tubing to actually contact the bed, because this shrink tubing can handle way above I think 110C, which is what I'll be running at most on this printer. So this all ended up working out, and this little piece right here came together really well. If you guys want to print this piece, I highly recommend CF nylon. And tapped all the holes, drilled them out. The only thing left is just to put the insulation pad, and that's about it. Super easy, super quick. So like I was saying, I cut around all the edges for my bed, and I used my burnishing tool and just kind of rolled all of the adhesive, and cut a little slit here for the actual strain relief. And I gave a little bit of a space between the edge to the bed, and that ended up working amazingly. And here is the final bed, and it does fit on the printer. And that's pretty much the end of this part of the series. Next up, we're going to do the electronics. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great weekend.